The Dutchman interview is going to be a two-part interview. During recording of the Recall the podcast, we got this offer.
We are very serious when we say you are more than invited to do a live recall of the podcast from Dutchman Studios.
And I decided to accept. So the plan is we record it here in the Hobbit Hole for part 1, and then we're going to move into part 2 at Dutchman Studio. Now, don't worry, they are both releasing on the same day, so there's no lapse. You don't have to wait for it. They're just right there on the channel, right here, right now. So if you're seeing this message, both episodes are up on the channel. Hey everybody, welcome back to Recall the Podcast. My name is Josh, and today the studio is completely full of people because we have Dutchman on. Hello everybody.
Hello.
So if you wouldn't mind going around and giving your names and what you do in the band, please.
I'm Connor, and I'm the lead singer and songwriter and lead guitarist and sometimes studio engineer.
Very cool.
I am Yamir. You guys call me Fez, and I am the drummer.
I'm Garrett. I'm the guitar player. I'll pick up a bass here and there.
I'm Chris, and I'm just the guitar tech.
You're not just a guitar tech. I mean, like, the guitar tech is an important part of a band.
Security, guitar tech, a little bit of management.
There you go. And now you're on a podcast.
Yeah.
Technically co-hosting with me, so me and Chris are going to be buddies today.
All right.
Let's go.
Here's the thing with Chris. He knows everything.
There you
So
go.
anything
So I
you,
could have
the
just
two
had
of
the
you,
interview with you and called it good.
yeah,
You didn't need any of us.
Yeah.
he's got the scoop.
You guys have been doing a run. This is going to be posted at the end of January, but you guys have been doing a run of news shows and stuff. Is there anything you'd like to speak on about that and how that's going?
I'll quote Garrett from the show on air. Whoa, we're tired.
Oh God, are we tired?
They said, how does it so we did WBOC CBS on Friday, which was 2 days ago as of filming this.
Mhm.
And they came up to Garrett and they had a teleprompter.
Unscripted.
Yeah, unscripted for us. Unscripted for us, but there was a teleprompter for the interviewer.
Okay.
And he asked Garrett, I heard you have an anniversary coming up. How does that feel? It's been 8 years. And he goes, we're tired.
How does that feel? I was like, yeah, we're tired. And I saved it real quick.
tired.
We're excited. We're really excited, but we're tired.
We're tired.
Yeah, don't take the opportunity away. I'm just...
Yeah.
So as of right now, we've done Cruisin' 92.1 WVLT. We've done WBOC CBS Delmarva Life.
Very cool.
We have a interview on Monday with Delaware State News. And then what's next there, Gary?
That's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
And then what's next would be the 30th, correct? Coast Life.
Yeah, we're doing Coast Life TV.
Yeah.
Which is also an affiliate of Fox and CBS.
Very cool. You had mentioned, I don't know if you wanted it on air or not, the 93.5 possibly as well.
Yeah, so I think so we are also played on, and don't quote me on this, people watching. I think it's 88.1 Hometown Heroes with Mark Rogers.
Very cool.
And they rebroadcast on Thursday night?
Wednesdays.
No, Wednesday's a rebroadcast on 88.1, I think, because I listened to that one. I usually miss the first one, and then my wife is like, come on. You should be proud. You should listen. And then, so they do the main show on Sundays, they rebroadcast on Wednesdays, and from my understanding, and I could be 125% wrong on this, they rebroadcast as well on 93.5. It's a 90 number station down here in Delaware.
Yeah, 93.5.
If we
It
find
is
it,
93.5
we'll put it in the
beats.
description if we find the number.
Yeah.
If we find it.
Usually.
95.3, 93.5.
Who's the band?
So how did you guys become a band? How did this all start?
Oh no.
A yearning.
Time for the dog backstory again.
Joke aside, so I moved from New Jersey when I turned 18, very round moment in my life, I guess. And I'd taken a year. I was still in the band that I was in before this, laughably called Voltage, with our buddy Connor O'Malley, who played on TV with us, filling in for Franco on Friday. And we had about a year left. And, you move.
Yeah.
And it's a little harder to keep it going when you're 3 hours away.
Right.
And we had already been a band for 6 years, and we had done a lot of what we consider to be proud work. Not that I really got anywhere, but for a bunch of kids from 12 to 18, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we called it quits, and November in 2017, maybe earlier. Don't ask me, I was only there. Me and Jake met up through a Craigslist ad, which sounds uber scary. But now knowing, Jake told me I was the only person to ever answer him when he put it up.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I just moved here. I would like, start a band. What do you think? Maybe we could try to do something. We recorded a demo of one of our first songs, Dark Temptations, one of Jake's songs, the first day we met. And it clicked very well. And then the next day was one of my songs. And Jake actually sang on that one. Little flip note for anybody who's listening to Dutchman. If you listen on our Spotify, I sing all my songs and Jake sings his. But back in the day, it didn't start that way. Jake used to be the only singer. We did that the first 2 times we met. And we were like, oh, we should really do this. We didn't have a name yet, though. We were, ironically enough, our single Springfield 79. It was like a band name idea, but we didn't settle on it. My last name's Johnson, so nobody wants to be in the Johnsons,
Right.
So Jake really didn't want to use his name, or just in general I don't even want to say really, but just in general didn't want to use his name. But I was like, well, Dutchman sounds a hell of a lot better than the Johnsons. Sounds much better than the Johnsons. So we settled on it because nobody could come up with anything better. Jake actually quoted it very well on the radio last Friday night. He said, naming a band is harder than naming your child.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's what he said. And I was like, that's stoic. That's 110% true. So to this day, have not come up with a better name. We are Dutchmen. We started out with just me and him for the first year, and just much like yourself.
Yeah.
Just recorded me and him. I played all the instruments, and he wrote his songs. I'd help him arrange them, and then I'd do mine and sing mine once we got to where he decided. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this.
You're fine.
Once we got to the point to where we were really settling into the job, if you will, I decided if I don't start singing now, then I'm probably not going to. And one day I might not be here and I might want to do something myself.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So I just bit the bullet on that one, and I'm much better now. Lord knows must be, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But no singer likes your voice. I don't think any singer actually likes their voice.
100%.
So, to me, they're all like, oh, you're great. And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it. Let me know later. Yeah.
Once we got into where we start singing each of our own songs, we were like, okay, we should get a drummer. So I put an ad on Facebook around 2018, 2019 on Delaware Musicians Exchange, something to that.
I think that's what that was. Yeah,
I think both of those are a group.
Yeah.
They are.
Which one was it?
I can't remember.
Musicians Exchange.
I think it was the Musicians Exchange one. If I can continue on with his story there, he put an ad up there looking for a drummer and everything, and I am somebody who's like chronically online. I just like to sit in bed and doom scroll Facebook.
Yep.
So I was doom scrolling Facebook, and I was in the group. I read a couple of things on there. I saw his ad. I read the whole ad, and the moment I read it, I'm just like, I'm gonna go past it and keep going and not worry about it. And then about a minute or so later, I'm sitting there thinking, it's just like, what was that ad again? So I went back to find it, found the ad, messaged him and said, hey, I see you're looking for a drummer. I play drums. If you don't mind, I'd like to, meet you and see if we can do something together. And according to him, I was one of 2 people that applied that
not to
night.
cut you off. It's so funny how it works, right? So
Yeah.
Jake, like I mentioned a little earlier, but I think that's the part we struck, so I'll mention it again. Jake said I was the only one who ever answered him.
Mm.
Like to this day, I'm sure the ad isn't still up after 8 years, but
If it is,
I
we
think
need
they
to
go
find
away
it.
after 30 days. But he said after the 30 days, I was the only person to ever even text him or email him. Same thing with Fez. There was another guy, and I just randomly picked one. There was no thought process in that. It was like me and him are chronically awake all night.
Mind you, this ad was like at 10, 11 o'clock at, I think it was actually
he had
past
to answer at
midnight.
like 1 a.m., I think.
Yeah, no, it was about like midnight or 1 a.m. because you had
I do that
just
quite
posted it.
Yeah, some of the most
So it was in the morning.
some of the most intense conversations me and him have ever had, good, bad, or otherwise, have been at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I do that quite often myself. It's the downtime that I have.
Yeah.
Because I have
Yeah.
kids. So like
That's
the
your
kids,
moment.
Yep, kids go to bed 9:30, and it's like, okay, Dad can work at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I get that.
So we just like I said, 110% random. I could not tell you who the other guy was. I'm sure the other guy doesn't even know who the other guy is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, right. But I picked him. He came over. I used to actually be a drummer.
There's no Pete Best
And what I
here.
liked about Fez is
As was I.
his instinct is exactly what mine is.
There you go.
I've no idea. So like, hey, listen to a Dutchman record. You'll notice this. Every verse is a hi-hat, depending on the song, obviously, but mostly like we start with hi-hat on the verse, open or shut, ride on the chorus. And he immediately did that. I didn't even say anything to him. I was like,
There
What
you go.
sounds good to me.
What it was, I met him. It was like a day or two after. I was living in Felton with my parents at the time. He was in Harrington, so like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I met him at his house. He had a drum kit in his room, and we just talked. We got to know each other and all that. And funnily enough, the first thing we did was It's a Wildlife. He played me the idea he had for it, the intro and everything. He said, I'm just going to play something and let's just see what happens. And before It's a Wildlife was recorded, I just kind of sat at the kit and did something I thought worked with it. And that's the first song that we kind of just, that was like our basis of like, okay, are we going to be able to work together? It was that. And that kind of led to what that song actually sort of became when we put it out and recorded it.
Very cool.
From our first meeting was that, because I just said, all right, let's see how this goes, and built it from there.
We so to give some perspective on the moment in time, we take breaks, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like we know we'll burn ourselves out. But I'm a chronic workaholic, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Any of them will tell you.
Again, 3
I'm
a.m.
like-
phone calls.
when we watched the Beatles Get Back documentary, we all agreed without talking to each other who which Beatle was.
There you go.
I'm Paul. I don't ever stop. I don't know why. It's just how I am, I guess.
Right.
So Jake was on break at that point for a month or two. It depends on what we're doing, how long we worked
Yeah,
beforehand.
yeah.
We'll take a week, a month or two. Because we all got families and we want to do
Right.
stuff and get that together. So here I am still trucking along during break, and that's when he came along. So when Jake came back to work, we went over to Electric Fossil Studios over in Milford, and we ironically did not cut It's a Wildlife first. We cut These Days off of Volume 2.
Okay.
That song,
There's a lot of versions of that song.
there is so many versions of that song.
Doing that, that song is like
the
a
main
year or
version
two.
that does really good on Spotify is the way we arranged it the first time.
Okay.
There's one with a full orchestra on, like 50-piece orchestra on it.
Wow.
And then there's one that's just us, the band. And then there's a it says live because it was live in the studio, but then there's an actual live one
Right.
from Electric Fossil Studios. And then there's a demo version, which is a whole key above what we ended up deciding to do. And knowing how many cigarettes I smoke right now, there is no way I was singing that with the capo on the 5th fret.
That song just every year since we met at some point before we actually put it out was just like, all right, what can we do for this song? It's like, how are we still doing this one?
Right.
These days was every day.
Yeah, these days was every day, and going nowhere went everywhere. We are our own contradiction. We are a victim of circumstance.
We are nothing but irony.
There's a couple of things I want to touch in on. You had said that you were a drummer before the vocalist. So was I. Every band I had been in previous to Recall the Moment, I was the drummer.
I would like to point out I do not like Phil Collins, and he was not an inspiration to this. Anyway,
Does that need
Well,
to be
that's a
here?
bit disappointing.
Yeah, that can stay in.
I will bust out in the air tonight.
I don't know.
Right now.
I don't know if I'm going to let this next part stay in, but it's a Noel Gallagher quote. But I said this to Garrett the other day. He looks at me because he was kind of humming In the Air tonight, and I was like, Phil Collins.
The other thing I wanted to touch on was the naming. You had said it was harder to name a band than it was your child. Well, that's mostly, I do agree with that 100%. I also went through that when we were naming Recall the Moment. It was originally a 3-piece band, and we had each come up with a name, and all of us kind of like, which one of the names is it going to be? And I was outvoted for mine. But it ended up being Recall the Moment, one of the other members.
What was yours?
And I had Leaving Last, actually.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Me
I like it.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
I'd buy the poster.
Yeah, right? Anyway, it ended up being Recall the Moment. And for like the first 2 weeks, I was griping, bitching about it, and complaining, saying, man, I just don't really care for the name all that much. I don't think I can get behind it. And then, one of the members fell off, and we're starting to do some music and writing and recording. And then it's like, I still don't like the song name. And then last podcast I had with Justice, my guitarist, he knew all this information, and we were sitting there talking about it, and he was like, well, now that you've got the band all built up and the podcast is going off, and how do you feel about the name now? And I was like, I still kind of don't care for it, man.
Do not even quote me on this number. I'm just guesstimating. I think we have 120 publications around the world internationally. And I looked at Garrett. I was like, we would hurt ourselves more to change the name than we would to just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you Google Dutchman
now
band.
it's known.
Yeah, if you Google Dutchman band Delaware, it's nothing but us on Google.
Yeah.
There's enough people.
You don't
where
even
if
have
we
to type in
changed it,
Delaware.
No.
I just
they
typed
wouldn't
in
even know where to
Dutchman.
find us.
You found it.
Yeah, on Google. Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to know that.
Right.
Are we on the dashboard now?
I'm scared to Google myself.
You weren't the first thing that popped up, but you were the second one when I Googled just Dutchman.
Second
Dude,
place
if you
on
do
Google.
Dutchman band Delaware, it's nothing but us.
There you go.
I said that Garrett one
You
day.
do get a lot of flying Dutchman stuff.
I would like to point out right now on the record, this will not be struck. We are not flying. We are not we are the Dutchman AM. I've only been telling that to people for 8 years.
Dutchman.
Excuse
It's
me.
one entity.
Just Dutchman.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I had a reminder.
Is that our
note.
10 minutes?
No, that was a reminder to do my Aunt Terry's plugins today because apparently there's a.
Hi, Aunt Terry.
Yeah.
This stays in. Don't cut this
Yeah, don't
part.
cut this.
Yeah, I don't care if they know. They know I write and record and
Hi,
stuff
Aunt
like
Terry.
that. Anyway, Aunt Terry's is changing up their rules and moving over to iLock, and you have to get it done by the 15th, or you lose your plugins.
Well, it's half past the freckle now. Come on, Josh.
Yeah, I know, and that was the reminder: is get it done. So anyway,
Guess we know what you're doing after this.
yeah. So you guys touched on the Electric Fossil
Yes, sir.
Studios. I don't know much outside of the name. I've heard a lot of good things from friends, though.
So let me tell you, this story can stay in. Let
Okay.
me tell you where are we at on our time limit here?
We're about 20 minutes in.
So I can say,
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
fuck's sakes,
That's a relief.
goddamn. All
And
right.
even so, I edit them out. Anyway,
Let
so-
me just say that on TV, they didn't let me say shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, or tits. Just to point out, that was the list.
I'm gonna bleep every single one of them.
Do it. Do it. Do
Can
it.
you ever, dude?
Beep 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 beep.
Do
beep, beep.
7 dirty words you can't say on TV. George Carlin. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
I fucked your mom. Blink
My
182.
mother taught me that in the 4th grade.
Of course he did.
Your mother?
She's from New Jersey.
That's the best.
Oh, yeah, that's not even a lie. I swear to God, that's
Hey,
true.
Fez.
What's up?
Your mother.
Sailor.
And my mother. They're both mothers. Hi, Mom.
So Kirby. So how I met Kirby is the
First off,
fucking...
who is Kirby?
Kirby
Kirby
Fitzgerald is the engineer and owner of Electric Fossil Studios.
Okay.
AKA Silver Fox.
Yeah,
Okay.
we call him Silver Fox because he's like the youngest looking dude with the silverest hair.
There you go.
Sorry, Kirby.
Love you, Kirby.
I'm going to get a text message for this. I'm going to get like a text that says, bruh.
I hope. God, I hope so.
Be like, bro, thanks. But no, so how I met Kirby is the most interesting shit you will ever hear in your life. So I bought a Ford Bronco
Mhm.
in May of 2019. I called it my bachelor mobile.
Oh, nice.
It had like a 6-inch lift in it. And I bought this thing, and I was a young kid. I didn't really work on cars yet. Not that I really know how to work on cars. I can do what I know how to do. And that's about that.
Because he had to do
I
it.
know enough to make sure that 62 Catalina out in that driveway will get back to Frederica.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I had it. I drove it for months, and it was fine. We drove it to New Jersey to go see Leonard Skinner at PNC Art Center. It was fine, right? In 2019, Delaware changed the law to buy cigarettes from 18 years old, 21. I hadn't
remember.
turned 21 for 2 months. And I had to drive over to Denton, Maryland to buy them.
Gotcha.
Well, it was like 2 a.m. after me and Fez worked, and I wanted to go get cigarettes. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go now. I'm not big on my cell phone.
Mm.
I grew up with that one.
Right.
I grew up with like one TV in the house, no internet, all that. So I'm old school real hard.
Yeah.
I leave my cell phone at the house. Now I don't. I have a wife now. So
Yeah, you got to check in. Call.
yeah.
Mhm.
I have a wife now, so that's a little different. But back then, I was a single man, so I
Right.
did whatever the hell I wanted. I left my phone at the house. I hopped in the truck, and I was like, I was in Harrington, so it's like, 15 minutes down
Yeah.
Route down Route
Not
14.
far at all.
So I hopped down there to go over to Exxon by whatever that Maryland Highway entrance is. And I go get cigarettes, and it's fine. And then I hop back, and I'm cranking Do You Know What I Mean by Oasis. I remember this. And like, it is as loud as I can get that 95 Bronco to like push it out of the speakers. All of a sudden, I feel what is like an explosion under my truck. And the whole back of the truck goes, poof. I threw my drive shaft off the front of the transfer case.
Oh, no.
Hit the ground, jackknifed the whole truck into the air. Busted it off the rear end. Truck landed. Ooh, sorry. Truck landed back on
Y'all
its
worried
rear
about me
wheels,
again.
thank God. My drive shaft at 50 miles an hour went flying into a cornfield. Right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the moment. I
Right.
thought my transmission was sitting back, like for how it sounded and felt. I thought my transmission, I was like, my heart's going 100 miles an hour. I get out, crawl under the truck. I was so glad to see my transmission. It took me 5 minutes to realize the drive shaft wasn't there. I was just, because it was like 2 a.m, so nobody's coming down the road. So I'm just laying there under the truck like, oh, thank fuck. I still have an E4OD.
But wait, it got worse.
Oh, yeah, it got worse. Once I figured out, I was like, all right, I ain't getting home tonight. I have 4-wheel drive. How I ended up getting home was to drive it. I threw it 4-wheel, just drove it home front with the front
Okay.
going. But I didn't want to risk it at that point because I hadn't ever used a 4-wheel drive in a 30-year-old truck,
Right.
20, 30-year-old truck. I didn't want to do that. I start walking. I was like, I don't have a cell phone. You ever drive from Harrington to Denton and like most of that drive for like 15 miles is nothing but farms?
Oh, yeah, it's boring.
It's
Yeah.
most of
I'm in
Delaware
the
and
middle
Maryland.
of that.
There's like 2 turns.
Yeah, I'm
That's
in
it.
if that. I am in the middle of nothing. Even if I had a cell phone, I don't even know if there was reception.
Right.
You probably
So
could've
I
done
just
something.
was like, it was like September. It wasn't that cold. So I just hopped out of my truck. I was like, hell, fuck it. I guess I'm walking. I started walking back towards Denton because I was maybe a little closer to that than probably Harrington by a stretch.
Right.
Guy in a Jeep goes by, beeps like a jackass. And I was like, damn it. Here we go. It's like 2 a.m. I'm not in the mood. At least I got cigarettes, I guess.
Yeah.
But he goes by. He comes back. He goes, hey, do you need a ride? I saw you actually on my way in with your truck driving, and then I saw it on the side of the road. I turned around. I was like, are you going to murder me? And he goes, are you going to murder me? And I was like, all right, we're good.
Standard questions.
His
Yeah.
name was Artie Robbins, and didn't know him from Adam.
Yeah.
He goes, where do you live? And I said, Harrington. He goes, well, that's really funny because I live down the street. I own Robbins Farm. And I was like, oh, can I have a ride? And he's like, well, of course.
He passed
So
out
I hop in the
already?
truck and he's like, I just came out of here for beer. They wouldn't, after 2 a.m., I think in Maryland, they won't sell it to you.
Right.
So I was like, well, lucky for you, I don't drink beer. And I got a case of Coors Light in my fridge.
There you
So
go.
if you drive me home, there's a case of beer with your name on it. And he was like, God, am I right? So I hop in his truck and he starts asking me, like, who are you? What's your name? What do you do?
Right.
And I start telling him about Dutchman. This is 2 years in.
Yeah.
Right. And compared to the 8 now and the bags under my eyes. This is 2 years in. I was like, we're on SoundCloud at that point. We weren't with any real distribution yet.
Right.
And I said, here, listen to the song. It was It's a Wildlife. Me and Fez had already done it. And I played it for him. He goes, oh my God, you're so good. And I'm like, no, no, we're
Nah.
not. But thank
Nah,
you.
nah.
And he goes, well, wouldn't you know it? I have a buddy with a recording studio and I'm also a musician. I'm a drummer. I was like, what a small world. It's Delaware. There's 9 of us and 10 of us are in this room.
Yep.
Pretty much.
It's about how that works.
Yep.
So he says, well, I have a buddy named Kirby and he has a studio in Milford and you should really go meet him. So Artie, much to his credit, I should give him more credit really than I do because he got this whole thing rolling with just helping, just like not even thinking about it. I'm sure he,
Right.
I'm sure he was just throwing a musician towards Kirby, but it turned out to be a real big thing, I guess, for at least us in our lives. He goes, I got a guy named Kirby. I'm going to take you out to dinner, take you to Mississippian, introduce you to Tyler Green, who used to run
Yeah.
open mics over there.
Mhm.
Do you know him?
I do.
Yeah. So great guy.
Yep.
He's like, I'm going to introduce you to Tyler Green, and then we're going to go over to Kirby's. So went to Mississippi, had a beer. Not a fan of beer or IPA, to be honest with you. A little bit bitter for me. And then we went over to Kirby's, shook Kirby's hand, and Artie stood up and said, my job is done. Got his car and left. And I've seen him maybe 3 times since then. Not a bad way. You know, we text every once in a while, but just, you know, it was like a guiding angel bringing us into Electric Fossil. And for 5 years, I think, we worked with Kirby.
Wow.
Just straight on.
We like to joke that Kirby is our, like,
George Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sorry if that was a bit long-winded.
No, you're
We
fine.
I don't think I've told that story in about 5 years.
So
fine.
many
Definitely not on
rehearsals.
record.
Yeah, I'm remembering things as I'm telling it, so I'm like, oh, well, I got to add
Starting to
this
get
in.
nostalgic now.
Yeah.
Aren't you? Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but the battery's just about.
Can I put a plug in real quick for my buddy while you're doing that?
Sure.
Is that all right? Thank you, Copeland Augie, for this bottle. Really Copeland, but I love Augie and Joe and Sandoval. Sandy, we call him Sandy, so I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, bud. For this very expensive bottle of whiskey. Bourbon? Is it bourbon whiskey?
Kentucky
Bourbon
straight
whiskey.
bourbon.
We were talking about the electric studio. Sorry, we had to take a small break because of camera technical difficulties. Luckily, I had a co-host today, and he figured it out before it got really bad. We lost about 10 minutes of audio and video.
We apologize. We as a band can't
Before
do
we started, he
anything
said,
without fun
sometimes
happening.
there is technical difficulties. We are
did.
difficult.
I jinxed it.
Dutchman can't go anywhere without a bit of fuckery. So, here we are.
I'm sure there's more than plenty of these listeners who agree we're a pain in the ass.
Tomfoolery, if you will.
Who's Tom and why is he foolery?
Great restaurant.
It is. It is.
Just go with the flow, brother.
All right. Let's get back into it before we lose my
So,
stuff.
Electric Fossil.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kirby. He is the dude. He's our George Martin. We rehearsed there 4 or 5 years, I think. Probably, maybe less, probably. I don't know.
Who
Felt
kept
like
track?
that long.
Mm.
We started recording there, and then also we would rehearse there, 2 nights a week?
Yep.
For a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then we just did Mondays.
Then we just did Mondays.
We recorded In Your Heart there.
Yeah, In Your Heart, the new single, was recorded at Electric Fossil Studios.
The music.
There you go.
The
Which is
music,
very rare for us nowadays. We usually record in-house everything.
Yeah.
The
Like
music.
On the Run was done at my house. I Need You Now was done at my house.
The music.
The music video for Run 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 was recorded there.
Yeah, Kirby is
Okay.
And he's
actually,
he's playing the
Kirby's
bass in the
actually
video.
the cameo playing bass
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool.
because we had 2 people,
Doing a
3
great
people,
job.
I guess.
It was me, him, and Jake. It was just like, hey, he looked at Kobe. He's like, you want to do the bass for this song in the video? He's like, all right, cool.
He actually used my dad's bass he used for like 45 years.
That's very cool.
Which
Yeah.
I just used on CBS.
WBOC.
Because
All right.
I was going to use a Rickenbacker bass, and then Connor's father happened to call in and check in on Connor, and Connor said, hey, we're going to be playing on TV here soon. He goes, oh, you're going to use my bass, right?
In so many words, yes.
Yes.
And I was
He-
like, yeah, definitely.
basically what that summed up to in a short story. He was-
Basically.
I was
Right.
like, what do you think I should use? And he's like, that bass never let me down.
There you go.
So I was like, all right. So his bass is actually up until the new record, give or take a few songs. Yeah, because obviously you use different things for different songs.
Mhm.
But up until then, that's the bass on every Dutchman song. So that thing lived a whole life before it got to our fuckery.
Right.
That thing's tired. The case, my dad bought it brand new. This is a story from what I understand, and I'm sure my dad will be listening to this, so you will call me and correct me. In 70 something, him and his buddy Paul, who I call Uncle Paul because I know him too,
Right.
won a lottery ticket. And you got to think in like 1975, 6, 7, like a lottery ticket for $500-$600 is like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
So they decided they wanted to go to New York City out of New Jersey. And Paul picked out a leather jacket, and my dad bought a brand new Fender Precision bass about the mid-70s. And they used the rest of the money to go see Led Zeppelin at Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
That's great.
Back when tickets were $4
Yeah.
God. the
or
days.
whatever they were back then.
Yeah.
But
Madonna
that,
charges $50?
That's the story of the bass. And he, when they went to see Zeppelin, he kept it in a locker at Madison Square Garden while they were at the show. That's what from my understanding. Like I said, I'm sure I will be corrected on this.
Yeah.
100 Ways to Sunday, but
leave it in the comments.
yeah.
There's our comment on that.
You heard it, Dad. Leave it in the comments.
Mr. Johnson.
But that's the story. He actually was most miraculous about that is he went a 45-year career with not a single backup bass.
Wow.
It was just that one. And he was like, this is the way he gave it to me when I was 15. He said, this is the only bass you will ever need. And I was like,
apparently he was right.
yeah.
Yes.
So for the first 6 years of Dutchman, that's all we had.
Right.
And then, I like the Beatles. I like Paul McCartney. I wanted a 4001 like Paul's, so I bought one. And then we have a Hofner bass, which is used more on the newer stuff.
Right.
Great tone. I'm not sure how they would act live. We've never used it live before being hollow, if it would howl or not. But in the studio, that thing sounds great. And you'd never think it for $300.
Right.
That's actually what we've been using in the studio now. We're for bass wise, we're like big into flat wounds and that whole sound,
Okay.
which my dad gives me shit for. He's like, "You put flat wounds on my bass," and I was like, "Yes, I did." But yeah, no, we have like I said, I think I said to you when we were outside, I may have said it on here already. We have probably collectively between me and Garrett about 55 guitars and basses.
Yeah, you did mention that. Yep.
We are big into instruments, vintage instruments. Like our studio is all vintage equipment.
They're all different.
Yeah, I have my dad's rig from his career. I have all that stuff. I was very, very happy that he had given me that for my 15th birthday. Dude, I was thrilled. My sister, hello, Ariana. My sister and me used to have a feud for years who was going to get that thing. And he picked me up from school on my birthday. He had it in the back. He's like, "Oh, I was at a friend's jamming." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And when I got home, he said, "Can't take you wherever I wanted to go for my birthday." He's like, "I can't take you. I got to go help your grandmother, but bass is yours. Have it. Have fun." And I was like, oh. I got out of the car with it. My sister came out, say hi to my dad as he was dropping me off.
Yeah.
And I walked out with it, and she was like, I was like, she gave me the bass. She must have done seven fucking somersaults in the yard, losing her shit over that one. My Uncle Lee was in the house redoing one of the bedrooms, and he was watching from the window. He will account that one for you if you ask. He's like, "Oh yeah, she has 7 somersaults, losing her shit over that one." But
but on your end of it, it had to have been a sentimental.
Oh, dude, because for me, it's like that's what I want to do for a living.
Right.
So for me, I was like, "Oh, what a thing!" So I think I have a piece of gear from everybody here. Everybody I ever work with, I try to either buy or if they give me something, I try to keep something from everybody I've ever worked with. The drum stool Fez uses from the drummer from Voltage,
There you go.
Scout, who is not a U.S. senator, but I like to make the joke that he does because he does a lot of politics stuff. Not that I'm into any of that, but like we always make a joke that I was like, "Oh, he was a drummer and now he's all big into government stuff."
Right.
But yeah, that's from him. I have a guitar, I have a Stratocaster from Garrett, and I have a bunch of drumsticks from Fez from a lot of our like bigger shows.
Right. That's
And
cool.
yeah, little stuff we keep. I have every Dutchman drum head we've ever used hanging in the wall. You'll see it hanging in the wall in my studio.
Probably.
No.
One of
No?
them is, one of them isn't.
Yeah.
One of them, we were playing Phoebe Fest. I don't know if that's still a thing or not over at Phoebe's Distillery in
It's
Milford.
fun, though.
I don't know.
And Fez likes to call our drum sets from 1964. We lost the legs for it like 20 years ago.
Lieutenant Dan.
Right. Hey, we're 26, but we lost 20 years ago. God knows when they got lost. He calls it Lieutenant Dan because they ain't got no legs.
Lieutenant Dan that got no
It's got legs now. We have since with the bigger shows upgraded,
He got magic
kid.
legs now.
He's got those titanium alloy magic legs from the end of the movie. But I had that as another Voltage piece of gear. I was actually a kid, and some dude was riding by on his bike. Me and my buddies just like playing our guitars on the front lawn just to get out of the house, not to get yelled at. And a guy was riding by on his bike, and he goes, "Oh, that's really cool. I never see kids playing anymore. Like playing any instruments, really.
Yeah.
Or even fuck outside for that matter nowadays with cell phones and internet." But he goes, "I have a drum set I had when I was a kid, and I'll give it to you guys
That's
if you
very
really
cool.
if you really want it." And we got to his house. It was a 1964 Crown drum set from Japan, which was the same exact spec and wrap as Ringo's from the Ed Sullivan Show.
Wow.
And I was like, "You gotta be shitting me."
Thing is a
And what I
monster.
didn't
gave
know
it
at
to
the
you?
time, when my mom came in the van to help me pick it up, he had told me, I guess, so I would take care of it because I was such a young kid.
Right.
He was like, "You can borrow it. I may ask for it back." But when he walked up to my mom while I was going down his basement to load it in with my buddy Joey, he was like, "Oh, he can keep it. It's his. Don't tell him that. I want him to take care of it, but it's his."
Right.
So to this day, from like middle school, that's the drum set Fez uses. And it sounds fantastic. It sounds exactly like the Beatles.
I've loved playing.
He used it
behind
on
that thing
TV on
so
Friday.
much.
Yeah.
It's a 20-inch bass drum, so it's a little smaller. It's like what a jazz Ludwig kit would
Like
be in 64.
Like
And
a
it
Bob
was,
kit nowadays.
It was made in 64. So the story from I could not remember his name, and I don't even know if he's alive anymore because he was an old gentleman. He got it for Christmas because he saw the Beatles in the Ed Sullivan Show in February 64. So for Christmas, he wanted to be a drummer, and he asked for that drum set. And I guess him or his parents found one that looked like it, but I guess at a more affordable cost. I would assume it's built exactly like a Ludwig. Back then, a lot of things were built with like much better quality.
Oh,
than
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So it's put up with us for the last 8 years.
Right.
Fez has a Ludwig
It's
kit.
put up with
Has
Fez.
a Ludwig kit.
It's
I-
put up with Fez.
I have spent money over my life on drum equipment, so I play the drums like it does owe me money. I have broken playing the songs that we play. You wouldn't think that I need to hit the kit that hard. I have broken probably 5 drumsticks now playing live with these guys.
Oh, I got one in my
yeah.
Telecaster case that he shattered at Phoebe Fest.
It was
didn't even splinter.
No, it was a brand new stick too. I barely was using it. I was playing. I looked down. It's a split right diagonally, and I was like, "Oh,
That's
awesome!"
actually okay. So there's multiple sticks. That's one of them. We were at rehearsal at Electric Fossil one day.
I broke
don't
a
know-
couple of sticks
I don't know
there.
how the hell he did it. He hit it. This stick shattered into 3 pieces.
Oh,
3
wow.
clean pieces. And so that one, I was like, "Oh, I'm keeping that one." And
I had
stuck it in
one-
my Telecaster case.
the
It's
wrist
still in
guards he
there.
wears. It is, you know.
I broke a Sabian AAX crash cymbal at a show we did back in September. It had a crack in it, and I hit it like 3 songs into the set, and you see the tip just fly right off of it.
Man.
Yeah,
At a
Strike.
recent show, he just shattered a cymbal too.
that was what I was talking about. Was that one? It was that symbol.
Yeah.
I just I saw the video of it. I saw when it happened. I played on that cymbal for another like 20 minutes of the set. We had a break. I switched out to another cymbal I had in my case. It's like, all right, this
I
is
think it's
done.
caught on video, right?
It is.
Like a
I,
shot.
I, I
Wow.
can find the exact moment of when it happened.
But the general question that I would like to ask you guys is, what do you guys like to do outside of the band? Like, what is each of
What's
your
that?
personal, individual things to do?
Spare time? The only
Yeah.
spare I have is a tire.
But
Nah, quite honestly though, I mean, it's work. It's always been do the 9-to-5 job and do Dutchman. Do the 9-to-5 job and then do Dutchman. It's been really busy the past
8
however many years
years.
I've been here.
yeah.
Right.
My whole life, man, and whole life doing this, which I did struck well, by the way. First band I joined was Dutchman, and we're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
if I'd say
absolutely.
so myself.
As so we've been told.
I'm quite lucky in that regard. But to answer your question, dude, I'm just so happy to be home. It is time with my fiance and my
Yep.
dogs.
Yep.
I mean, I just got a house.
Very
Just got
cool.
a home
Congrats,
we moved
yeah.
into, man. I mean,
That's a hard thing to do now, like with money situations and stuff. It's very
He said
difficult
in
to get a
this
house.
economy.
It is.
100%.
Yeah. No, 110%.
Yeah. But dude, yeah, take the dog swimming. You know what I mean? Like,
There you go.
I took off work before I quit my job to get on to the radio show the other.
We're doing that again?
Thank you, Copeland.
Thank you, Copeland. Thank you to every Copeland that's
Different-
involved in this
Yeah,
moment.
different Copeland. I'm Copeland too.
Yeah,
so.
thank you,
Yeah.
Copeland.
Oh, wow.
Like all
Okay.
the Copelands out there. There's got to be thousands of you, right?
Probably not.
Is your
first- Yeah, I guess his last name is Copeland too.
But no, yeah, man. I just time at home. Whatever spare time I can get, just be home. We all have a honey-do list. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You got
Don't
to
get me
gotta be on
started.
top of that.
Indeed.
But it feels good to get it done. You know,
And
like,
sometimes.
it really does depend on the task.
You want
Don't
to?
get me wrong
So, me and Reagan's grandfather, before he unfortunately passed away, were thick as thieves, right? And her grandmother's name is Raylan, and my wife's name is Reagan. So he used to walk up to me and he'd be like, "Raylan, Reagan, you see the difference?" He's like, he goes, you know what the three deers are, right? And I was like, no, what's that? And he goes, yes, dear, lovely deer, buy it, dear.
Yep.
And that is the rule I live to today. I just buy Reagan whatever the hell she wants.
Hey,
There you go.
to further your question, Fez, I would like to know what you do in your free
The
time.
hell are you
Yeah,
doing
you
yourself?
would be
So
Yeah, what do you do?
when I'm not doing my job or when I'm not with these guys, I'm also home with my girlfriend, my dog, our two kids, and all that. And like I said, I'm chronically online, so I'm either doom scrolling on Facebook, I'm watching TV with her, playing video games, just doing whatever I can, or sleeping. Because God, do I love to
Oh,
sleep.
he
Must be nice,
loves,
buddy.
Oh,
loves to sleep.
God, and anytime I can get a nap in, it's just like leave me alone. I'm sleeping. But like the normal stuff, I'll watch TV, play video games, watch YouTube, do my own honey-do list at home. I help my girlfriend around the house and I help the kids out as well. And I just like being at home as well myself. You know,
Very
just
cool, very
be
cool.
home and vegetate basically.
I go trout fishing.
Yeah. Hey, that's fun.
I've been fishing my whole life. My dad loves fishing. Me and him used to go all the time back when I still lived up in New Jersey.
Mhm.
That's my thing. I'll leave my phone at home and just take a fishing rod. My brother-in-law, Liam, with me, and we're out there for hours from noon to dusk.
There you go.
And we will venture for the big fish. We will walk into the Murder Kill River. And if anybody who lives here knows, there are snapping turtles the size of dinner plates in there.
Yeah.
They don't call it motor kill for nothing.
We go, there's not much trout fishing, I guess, really here.
Not
You
much.
got to
no.
go up north because of the water's too warm here. But catfishing, that's something I never had up in New Jersey, which is interesting here. And then there's a river everywhere here. I live in Frederica, and there's like 3 points of the river in that town.
Right.
So I could just walk down the street and go fishing if I want. That's my thing. What do you do, Chris, with yourself?
I am either a workaholic or you can't get me
Or
off
an
the couch.
alcoholic.
That seems to be the dichotomy
No,
here with
I'm
all of
kidding.
us.
Chris actually does not drink. He was the only one. We may strike this. He's the only one who didn't drink at all this weekend.
Yeah,
Not that much of a.
Excuse me, I am also
There's nothing wrong
not
with
a
that.
drinker. So
You drink water. I want to hear it.
Fez has done nothing. He knows nothing.
He shows up,
I
plays
showed up-
drums, and fucks off.
that was what we talked about as my cat's face. I show up, I play drums, I fuck off. That is it. That is what I am paid to do.
He's the
and
best
I do
car
it well.
ride, buddy. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Can we take him anywhere? Like he's
keeps
real
it going.
rambunctious.
Because I
when
don't shut the fuck up.
when he shows up, he's real rambunctious. He's ready to like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then he doesn't stop fidgeting on the drums. Right? But if we gotta take him somewhere and it's a decent amount like of a drive, this guy, it's like any other kid. You know, I mean, he's real rampant, and then he just gets his tablet. He gets real quiet. He takes a nap, and then he's out.
I'm about to say, I'm in the back seat. I'm on my phone. They're doing their thing. It's
I
just
don't
like
know if the camera will pick this up, but here's him coming home.
Oh God.
So the next question was going to be about releases, and our co-host here hasn't really said much, so we're going to have him ask them the question.
Ooh.
Let's go, Chris.
Well, thank
Here's the real question. What should I ask?
Anything you want about the new releases?
Ooh, yeah. When are they coming out? Do you have a date for them yet?
When they put them
new
out.
releases.
Today, tomorrow, yesterday, every day.
You
Well,
listen
we're
to
all
Dutchman
waiting.
every day.
I'll let you know when I release the answer.
I actually do listen to Dutchman pretty much every single day.
Yeah, no. So Chris here.
Yeah,
Chris
no
has
choice.
been hanging around since I was, 15, 14.
I don't know.
How much time?
Probably
we
God,
got?
Lord, at
probably
least
about 15.
15 years. At least damn near 15 years. So he's joking. He gets everything early.
Oh, yeah.
He has absolutely everything the minute it happens.
My 2024 Wrapped on Spotify was on the run for number one
Okay.
song.
Are you serious?
Very cool.
I think it was June or January 22nd. It was played like 120 times.
God bless
Listeners,
Spotify.
listeners,
Nonstop.
you hear that? You think you're the number one fan? Think again.
We have a full length album coming out. Lord knows when. Probably June.
Okay.
Garrett, take it from there.
we have a full-length album. It's coming out in probably 2025.
You never believe it.
Hold on.
Let's see how that goes.
But to piggyback on there, we do have a full-length album. Jeez. Go on.
Thank you,
sorry.
Fez.
If you didn't mention it's coming out
I
in
was losing track
2025.
there. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I figured we failed the whole joke.
But no, it's actually kind of a joke with me and Connor right now because we released quite a. If you check out the discography, I mean, we released quite a few singles of this album, and we're like, are we near half the album yet? We should probably wait on these
Fucking
singles.
close.
So, quite honestly, for all the fans out there, if you've already checked us out, you know that we have released 2 live tracks from our back catalog.
Yep.
So, for the time being, until we drop that whole length that you're all waiting for, that is probably going to have quite a few more live recordings out.
And that is an exclusive to this podcast. 'Cause we have
Very
not
cool.
announced that.
I make a joke that this album is our long run by Eagles because they said that we might as well just call the record the long one because it took them so long to get it done and put it out.
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
perspective
This one
of
is
that,
our long run because we don't know when.
Volume 1 took a month to record,
Yeah,
like
okay.
30 days. Volume 2 took 6 months to record. Volume 3 took 8 months to record. And it's been how long since we released Volume 3? And that's how long we've been recording.
Yes.
36 months.
36 months.
The answer is yes.
Oh, jeez.
So is it a matter of time management, not being able to get in to the
Oh, we're
studio
terrible.
more?
We're very. I will say this: every time we do a release, it does better than the last, and that's my biggest
Very
thing.
good.
I want it to do better than the last. I don't want to get stagnant.
Right.
Me and Garrett are very keenly aware of the attention we've been getting for the last, I would say, 3 years,
Mhm.
and even more so in the last 2 weeks. Like more than anything in the last 2 weeks in terms of mainstream media. We want it to be as best as it can be in producing aspect, mixing aspect, musicianship aspect. And a lot of the times we'll say record the first song and then get to like the 5th song. We're like, oh, we should do this on the first song because we just learned this on the 3rd song.
Right.
Yeah, kind of way to mix it, produce it, play on it, whatever have you. We also like we said, we have 55 guitars about, and we always buy new equipment. So we'll get something and we're like, oh, that should be on there. So a
Very
lot
good.
of it is like, we'll record the basic tracks and then go back and revise it a bit. And then, so on and so forth. Over to you, Gary.
So on and so forth.
Back to you, Fez.
Pulled
I
that
am
one out of my
Fez.
ass.
What's a good direction we can go here?
Well,
from that?
I wanted to take
Left.
a minute and thank. We all have a mutual friend together, Ben Gunter, and he's the one that kind of
Shout out to Ben.
fucking love that
big
man.
Shout out. That's why I just wanted
So
to say
much.
thank you, Ben.
He's
for
just, I
being
love
just like
him.
a
I love
great
you.
kid, and I appreciate all the things you do for Recall the Moment and introducing us to bands like Dutchman. It's just, I really appreciate you. I love you, bro, and I'll see you soon. I want to touch into 2025 goals for Dutchman.
Pay the bills.
Still be the band.
Still be a band.
Play more shows.
Anybody who's in a band knows that at every moment in the band, you are a tear, stress, and a shit away from never being in a band again.
Yeah.
Every moment. You know what I mean?
Keep
So
going.
that's why we're very celebrating. We're very much celebrating. It's been 8 years because, dear God, like in any moment it could just. I think the
Right.
Beatles even said that too. It's like it's so delicate of a situation. It takes it's hard enough being married,
Right.
and now I have 4 wives. You know what I mean? It's
Huh?
basically-
You're always looking over your shoulder too, because it seems like as soon as something's going great, like you're just waiting for
Yeah.
someone or something
Said
to
camera
happen.
5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
said camera
We-
five.
I think between getting the radio show we did, getting WBOC, this podcast, and
Coast Life,
Coast Life,
Battle
and
of
are we
Bands.
talking
Battle
about
of
Battle?
Bands,
And yeah,
the
we're gonna do
Washington Post.
How many fingers you got? We can.
just
I don't have 120
everything
fingers,
that we've
Garrett.
done this month and coming up in February. Just everything we've done so far has come up in the span of what 2-3 fucking weeks. It all just came one right after the other, rapid
Yeah.
fires. So
These last 2 singles were big.
yeah,
They
Yeah.
were well received.
the goal is to continue to do everything we can, keep the band going, have fun, and take everything that we have coming our way as seriously as possible.
Is there a show that you haven't done yet that you would like to maybe put it out there in the ether and see if something happens? I don't know.
Madison
Square
Square Garden.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden.
You know, my dad used to say, "How do you get to Carnegie? How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
How?
Practice."
Yeah.
I always say, get us on the free stage at the Delaware State Fair. That's just my joke.
I mean, that would be cool, though.
It would. They put you on twice a day, so
Yeah.
that's just my thing
Start
on
small,
that one.
go there, and then hit the Madison Square Garden.
First step, Harrington State
I think
Fair.
if I played Madison Square Garden, I'd retire.
Yeah.
That's it. That's.
Go out on
He
top.
just looks at us and be
I'm not
like,
a
guys,
Beatle,
this
you
is
know.
it.
I don't got to do this forever. That's
Right.
I say this a lot to the guys. If we ended tomorrow, I think I'd be content with what we did because, in my and our humble opinion, we have gotten further than anybody around us of our age. Not here necessarily in
That's
Delaware,
true.
but
I mean,
just
like, for
in general.
I can think of what Awake at Last.
Yeah,
really
they're
well.
really out there. Oh, weighing in right now is touring.
Weighing in is touring. Yep, and they're doing some pretty big things.
Shout out to those guys, too.
Yeah, we know all those
Floodgates
guys.
is going out, too, doing
Floodgates.
stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys.
We are all very good friends with all those guys. We have all played shows together.
Now, are you guys? I don't know this or not. Are you signed? Are you independent completely? or
Independent.
This is independent by choice.
Yeah.
by
we,
choice.
we have had offers from very big companies that I shall not mention here due to privacy.
Gotcha.
We don't like getting told what to do. I'm sure most of the people who have ever hired us would agree to that.
We've told you how hard we've worked for all this. I mean, it's really hard to give certain percentages for certain things to certain people
Right.
for everything that you're gonna bottom line control anyway. So
We had a, I'll say this in the most vague way I can. We had a very famous A&R rep get in contact with us, and we had about 4 or 5 meetings with him. And what it amounted to, yeah, I hear you giggling back there.
I had to clear my throat. I had to clear my
Hey, don't
throat.
be upsetty spaghetti.
He was just clearing his throat. He was, yeah.
definitely have to clear your throat.
Don't
on
be
this one.
upsetty spaghetti.
Eddie.
The
Leave
first
that
time
in.
the
Stop.
glasses have come off.
Yeah.
We've done nothing wrong.
Yet.
So far, what we've noticed, and like, so our publicist Eric Alpert, he's a very mainstream publicist. He works for
Okay.
people like not even people like, but he works, for Ringo Starr
Big shout out
and
to
Mick
him.
Fleetwood and guys like that from Fleetwood Mac and the Allman Brothers. He used
That's
to cover them.
crazy.
He is probably the most stand-up guy
Yeah.
we've ever worked with in terms of that business. Everybody else we've ever met, you know what I mean, in terms of like trying to do business with us, are
Right.
very greasy. Ever watch Trailer Park Boys? Greasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Alpert, he's really stand
Yeah,
up,
he's
man. He's got
stand-up.
his own. I think he still has it. If it's
yeah. XM.
Sirius XM radio,
Yeah.
yeah, he has his own show. But everyone's always asking us, how'd you find him? How did you even remotely have an idea of how to get a hold of this guy? Ironically, apparently, getting to talk with him after Connor knows a little more about this. But bottom line, really, he had already followed the band on Facebook.
Oh yeah. So
Very cool.
here is a fun note about Eric Alper. It was Twitter. We made it back when Twitter was Twitter.
It's
Like
still Twitter.
years ago. It was
Yeah.
2017.
It's still Twitter.
We made our account and he followed us for no good goddamn reason. Year, 2 years, 3 years later, we post something. Either I emailed him something just like, hey, just making contact.
Yeah.
We're this band. Or he found it on our Twitter or Facebook or whatever. He heard, It's a Wildlife?
Most
I'm going to
likely,
be
most
honest with
likely.
you. I cannot remember what song it was, but he added it to his playlist.
It was
And
that.
he
yep.
emailed us and he said, I really like your band. If you ever want to work, please contact me if you're looking for a publicist.
Very cool.
And for 5, almost 6 years, we've been very happy with his work. He's very communicative. I talked to him probably, I think, yesterday or the day before, just emailing back and forth about what's going on. Like, he facilitates all of our press deals in terms of like the Delaware State News or stuff like that. So he is probably, like I said, the best person we've found and worked with. The other gentleman that, don't get upsetty spaghetti about,
Yeah.
wink, wink, nod, nod. And if you know what I'm talking about, trust me when I tell you, you know what I'm talking about. You'll get it.
Is this staying in?
I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after.
There's no-
Oh, yeah, you leave this
There's
in.
no details.
You leave this in.
Yeah, there's no
Josh,
details.
as soon as we're off
asking if
camera,
we're
I'll give
cutting
you
it.
the dirty deets, I promise.
leave
And
that
then
in.
if all you viewers want to hear it, you get a hold of him.
So, too long
I
didn't
don't
read.
know. We all know for sure I don't share anybody's information. We've had that talk on the podcast before.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
So, for the
It's not my business. I'm here as a neutrality to the bands. They can say whatever they need to me, and I will never share it.
Nobody can see this, so I'm shaking your hand right now.
to circle back to answer the question.
Anyway, we had five meetings with him, and he wanted, I think, like 30% of everything we worked for at that point, like 5-6 years.
Right.
And he wanted to start tweaking it and changing it. And as everybody knows with any music, it's all a matter of opinion.
Really,
Yeah.
we just needed some management.
Nobody knows what the hell they're doing.
Right.
It's just a matter of it's six. Joe Walsh, just act like you know what you're doing until you do.
Right. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, basically.
And keep going.
And keep
so
going.
we
Exactly.
chose at that meeting, we actually denied him. And he got up and stomped out.
We see the thing is we didn't
even deny him.
We didn't
No,
deny him.
actually.
We just
You
had a
even
couple
better.
talking points we wanted to bring up, and we didn't even get to number 3, and he stood up and
You were trying to make adjustments to make
Wow.
things
He's
work
like, I
out
don't
better.
even.
Stomped
And then
off
he
to
kept
his
looking
car.
back like we were
Alright.
supposed to chase him. And I was just like, are we supposed to be running after him?
We said,
guys?
He thought it was like a car sales lot or something.
Yeah.
I said, nah, we just sit back and enjoy our martinis.
Yeah, no, I ordered a martini at Tomfooleries.
Great place.
If you're the guy in this story, you know. I don't need to tell you.
The short answer is we are independent.
Hope you enjoyed CPS last Friday.
We are independent.
Guess you were wrong.
Go to this timestamp of the video if you want to skip the whole story. We are independent. Don't skip the story.
Leave it in.
But yeah,
We didn't say any
it's fine.
details. I think we're okay on this.
And that's basically what we plan to do.
But a lot of the business is they want to make you their way.
Right.
We're not into that. We were signed to a small independent label called Bless Up. Ironically, we had no complaints about them. We just wanted more freedom than they were willing to give us, and not in a bad way or a good way, just in a general business way. And they were very happy to let us go.
Very cool.
So they let us go. I'm still friends with the CEO that works over there, Keanu. He emails me,
Very cool.
sent me a Dutchman Letterman jacket, or it's on its way. I don't know. My wife,
Still-
either my wife got it and stuck it in the archive, or I have it.
Still somewhere in the ethos.
No clue. I'll be honest with you. If you want to know anything, ask my wife.
Yeah.
She's my main person. She keeps my ass wiped, really.
Same
You know what I
same
mean?
with mine.
She'll tell me, she's like, if you didn't know me, you'd be naked, afraid, alone, and hungry.
Good show.
He still is, but she keeps him fed and clothed at least.
We're gonna go ahead and I have a announcement of a show to make, and then we'll get into final thoughts, and then
Yes, sir.
finish up the process. So there is a show on March 28th at Halftime in Newark, Delaware, and I've been asked to talk about it a little bit just because Recall the podcast is going to be there doing the interviews there live at that show. Well, I say live. I'll be in person, but not actually internet live.
Well, you're alive.
So some of the bands that are going to be there are Black Sun Marauders, Floodgates, Duress, Promise Breaker, Weighing In, Flesh of Lotus. And make sure to go check it out. Stop in, say hi. It's not often that Recall the Moment gets to go in and record something this big, so make sure to stop in and say hi to us. Check out all the awesome bands, buy some merch, and yeah, just have a great time. March 28th in Halftime, Delaware, Newark. And then now we'll get into final thoughts. Any last words you guys would like to say?
Hi, Grandma.
I'm really pleased you wanted to have us here.
Yeah, thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Absolutely. I've had a good time.
I
I'm sorry about the cameras.
didn't, but
Yeah, I'm sorry
We
about
all
the
had-
cameras. Yeah.
we there's a lot of technical difficulty with the camera, but we all have been having a hell of a time here hanging out with you, walking out, having a cigarette, talking, all apologizing for our rambling and camera needs.
Lord,
Yeah.
I personally love podcasts. I listen to them all the time, or at least I did.
Awesome.
I'll be picking it back up.
I
again.
listen to your
Yeah,
podcast
So,
all
I
the
mean,
time.
This is
so.
just great.
Thank
This is
you.
great to be here. So hopefully many more.
He's shorter in person. They always are.
I am very short.
About to
Yeah.
say, we might have to do another one of these so we
Yes.
can actually get more
Yeah.
fleshed out conversations.
We are very serious when we say you are more than invited to do a live recall of the podcast from Dutchman Studios.
And that's about right where we're going to cut it off right now. There's no sense in doing the outro and stuff since we're going to be having a second episode on the same day. So go watch that episode. It's already up on the channel. So make sure to check it out. Make sure to check Dutchman out. And I'll see you in a few minutes on episode 2.